Hi everybody, today I will present about sexual conflicts and why there are such things as sexual conflicts is because males and females share almost all the genome, but we are quite different. So if there is a selection on one trait in one sex, then it will impede somehow the other sex. So sexual conflict occurs when there are different genetic interests between the sexes, which leads to conflict in optimal fitness strategies. And for example, there is one example of sexual conflict when in ground crickets, if you're like a good male, you have high fitness, then you will have more high fitness sons than daughters. That means that there is some kind of conflict between the sexes, and we can see that, for example, one of the conflicts can be between male and female interaction, where in bedbugs, males spike the female's abdomen and inseminates it, and there can be a lot of infections. The female's lifespan is reduced by 25%, and that's not good for a female, but it's good for male, because if you are the last one who inseminates, then you have the highest fitness. So, and it is shown in this graph that for males it's good to have a high number of matings, while for females you have a threshold where it goes down. And thus there is also the evolution of female resistance. And conflicts can occur between the same genes and different genes. There is intra-locus conflict, when the fitness acronym for a trait expressed in both sexes is different, and interlocus conflict when there is a conflict between male and female interaction, for example these mating rates which I showed previously. And intralocus conflict, which happens between the same genes, you can see in these birds. The best examples are that male birds usually have colorful feathers and long tails, and from natural selection point of view, it's not good for male birds to be so colorful with long tails, because then predators can easily see him, and the long tails and cure light efficiency. But females prefer these ornaments, so in the end there is a conflict between natural selection on both sexes and sexual selection on males. So when do we have these conflicts, how can we resolve them? One way is to create sex chromosomes. So it can start with an autosomal locus which segregates for two alleles which have different fitness in both sexes. And as males have higher sexual selection pressure, it is expected that the sex-determining region will occur on Y chromosome or V chromosome, it depends on the system. And also on the Y chromosome, other genes rather than genes which encode for sperm quality can occur. For example, in fishes there are genes which encode for size and other things which have a good fitness for males. But in the end, the most antagonistic genes occur on the X chromosome, because females have two X chromosomes while males have only one. Those female beneficial genes, which will be dominant alleles, will occur on the X chromosome, but recessive alleles, which will be good for males, also will occur on the X chromosome. But in the end, the X chromosome will become more female and less male. And that's it, yeah. Then Other strategy would be sex-specific gene expression. There can be specific hormonal cascades or alternative splicing. For example, in Drosophila, it has XY system, but there is no sex-determining locus on the Y chromosome. So the sex is determined with ratio between X chromosome and autosomes, and then follows 6 lateral protein expression, which starts the cascade of female-specific splicings and transcripts, which determines female reproductive organs and behavior. And in males, there is a lack of SXL enough expression. Thus, there is dosage compensation of the X chromosome, and males develop their characteristical parts and behavior. Then in total, we know that 15 to 70% of all genes have sex-biased expression. And the other way how to escape sexual conflicts are genomic imprinting tactics. For example, we know that 80 genes are being imprinted in mammals. So in this figure we can see that if we have the same background, we can change like the sex and see if progenies are the same or different. And there are, for example, growth hormone differences. When they are paternally inherited, then there are silenced and so on. And I added one more, which is not included in the review, that it is shown that in some species, usually females can select offspring sex. So they can select offspring sex by choosing the sperm depending on the mate phenotype. And it is shown that if males are larger, then they will produce more sons, and if they are smaller, they will produce more daughters. And it's the other way around in other species for females. If you're more higher fitness female, then you will produce more daughters, and if you're not so good female, then you will produce more sons. And also, some scientists think that in some species, females can alter hormonal levels and determine the sex of the offspring. So, yeah. So what are the consequences? The consequences is that there's a rapid and directionless evolution of female and male reproductive traits, and it can lead to speciation because one part of the evolution is evolution of reproductive isolation, and sexual conflict can lead to that. There can occur some differences in the group. They can be selected. And methods for studying sexual conflicts are different. You can use molecular methods, like determining gene expression in both sexes. You can do assortative matings, crossings, population level studies, and the most interesting, I think, is studies on hermaphrodites, because then you can study how the sex evolves, because also hermaphrodites have sexual conflicts. For example, if you're a hermaphrodite, you will more invest on your male part, because then you can inseminate other organisms, while if you invest only in female part, then you invest mainly on yourself. So it's better to invest in male part, but there can occur conflicts, because if everybody will invest in male part, then it won't be good for the population. And you can also do artificial selection, for example, artificial selection on testosterone levels, which will increase male reproductive success but decrease female reproductive success. And that's for me all. I finished earlier.
Thanks a lot. Any comments? I think you had a really good introduction. It was to the point, and you explained, began with what is sexual conflicts. And you had a logical fact flow. The right information for me came on the right place. And there was also another thing. Yeah, I like the way you presented a question and then, like, as a heading, and then answered them in the slide. The only thing I thought was that the method slide was a bit text heavy, but
for me, pretty much stole all my fancy points. But I think, especially it was spoken in a very clear and well articulated voice, and you got good volume, and even without you didn't have any manuscript or something, you were just telling it like it was a story.